getting ready. Oh, I can handle this. Oh, look at that. I'm doing quite well with this. A month went by. I'm doing great. And now, I don't think I can take this anymore. uh, where's a nice, uh, rude person in a subway? uh, Someone to bump into you while you're walking in the street, spill your latte. Oh, I miss that. Uh, okay. Uh, for tonight, um, uh, the meditation that we're going to do tonight is mantra meditation. We're going to do a mantra meditation. I think we did that the first time we met. We're going to do a mantra meditation, and it's ever since this outbreak started, the Dalai Lama recommended that people do Tara mantra. And we did a somewhat of a meditation on Tara the first time, and we're going to do another. We're going to do another one tonight, reciting Tara's mantra. I'll guide you through the visualization, and there's a part where we will be silent and reciting, continuing the visualization and reciting the mantra in our own heads. Okay. Hey, where's the West Coast? I don't see where to West Coast yet. Is West Coast here? Is West Coast represented?
I'm actually on the West Coast, but I don't know if
Hey, there you go. I thought you were the mid coast.
The what coast? The mid coast?
The mid coast. Okay. All right. I think this is usually about the time that I'm coming in. Okay. So I have the timer here on the good old Insight meditation app. Oh, Emmett, can you read tonight's invitation?
Not particularly easily, but we do have Miss Miriam Parker with us. So,
oh, where's Miriam Parker? Maybe she can read it.
Actually, if I can invite her to just give us a little hint of what we're getting this evening.
Okay.
You okay to unmute yourself?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. I'll just read it because I'm so nervous right now. I can't think.
Okay, you're on the spot.
I have to perform tonight and I feel like dying.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, but you know, they say dying to live.
Yes.
So I'll just read.
Okay.
So all day long, I look for things that bring me pleasure, especially in my meditation. I use the sensation of bliss or goodness as the barometer of whether or not I'm in the right place. Sometimes the inner critic applauds me, and sometimes not. I act and can apparently take away someone's fears, including my own, sometimes, but at other times it appears that I cannot. How do I create confidence in myself so that I can take away suffering in the face of the appearance that I cannot at all? How do we create the confidence that we can do anything, that there is an end to suffering? How do we avoid turning to anger in the face of suffering or numb ourselves even worse? Because we feel we cannot do anything. I look back at memories and can find a collection of disappointments that have created a block and a signal in my mind that verifies that I'm not good, or I cannot do this, or I will never be able to do this. How do we work with this? In the wish to get out, I get caught up in a craving for bliss. And this leads to suffering because of expectation. How do we work with wish and expectation without bringing ourselves out of wisdom? I asked a lot of questions here. How do blessings work anyway? What are the mechanics of blessings? I find myself just begging when I'm desperate because there seems to be nothing else that I can do. And yet I'm caught in a loop because my so-called logic does not understand how blessings work.
Yes, thank you. I think you put into words a lot of feelings that a lot of us are having, especially around this time, especially those of us who have taken vows to end the suffering of all beings throughout the universe. And yet here is this situation challenging us. Oh yeah, get yourself out of this one. And well, that's my psychological trick of dealing with the daunting task of here you are, get yourself out of this one. I laugh. It's my way of dealing with it. Some people cry, some people get angry, some people, we have our different ways of dealing with it. And it's definitely not the direct way of dealing with it, but it's a way our minds has set up for us to give us a sense that we are dealing with it. Okay. And this is something, yes, definitely that we are all feeling, especially now, especially after, it seems like we've been here, it seems like it's almost appearing to be normal. Like this is how it's going to be moving forward. And at the same time, there's a part of us that, you know, well, this can't be how it is moving forward, because a lot of us are discovering that connection is important. Face-to-face contact is important for our well-being, it's important for our sanity. And to the point where we are even wishing for, you know, the way I was joking in the beginning, wishing for to meet the rude person in the subway, to meet the person who will bump into you and not say sorry, you know, any kind of connection. Yeah. Because whether it's evolution, whatever we can blame it on, it has become a necessary part of us. And I took Miriam's questions and I formed very quickly the topic, expectations, creator or destroyer of joy, as a question that we will unravel tonight as we talk, as we go into it. Okay. And in there, it's expectations and blessings, because I can see how Miriam made the connection between blessings and expectations, especially when it's wanting to do something and then not finding within yourself the resources that seems to be necessary to be able to do something, to see a result of your actions and not seeing it. So then we desperately turn for something to give us some means to be able to do it. That's what the blessings, I think, is connected to it. And I will give some talk about it, and also what I feel from my own experiences, in a way, sort of addresses these things. Okay, and of course, from the mainly from the Tibetan Buddhist perspective, but we will take in whatever else we can bring into it. Psychology, Western psychology, other forms of, for lack of a better word, spirituality. Okay, we'll draw from these kinds of things, but mainly from Tibetan Buddhism, from the way I can understand it and that I can present it. Okay, that was enough time for everybody to gather. So let's get ready to do the meditation. So bring into conscious awareness that you're going to meditate, understanding that meditation is a conscious effort to access and abide in ever subtle levels of consciousness, where we will be able to encounter the means within us to bring about the transformations that we seek. Holding this clearly in your mind, have this communicated to your body so that the intelligence within the body will respond in a cooperative way, giving us hints. Adjust your legs this way. Make an adjustment here with your back. Make sure it's straight. Make sure it's comfortable. Make sure it gives you attentiveness. Make sure your chest is open but comfortable. Your arms are relaxed, shoulders evened. Legs giving you a sense of stability, giving you a sense of contact with you and the earth, giving you the sense of you're grounded, giving the sense that you're supported. Head and neck centered, so there's no need to hold the head and neck in place. And it completes the uprightness of the spine. Mouth, teeth, tongue resting in their natural places. Muscles of the face and forehead are relaxed. And the eyes resting softly. So that through the body itself, through the posture itself, we feel that we are beginning to make contact with that inner space. And beginning to feel that we are making contact, so we are at the threshold. We can sense the inner and we can sense the outer, and we are making a commitment to fully enter into the inner world. So through the breath, we will make a commitment, feeling committed to enter, to encounter, to abide, to access. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And through the mouth, just completely release. The body, speech, the body, the breath, the mind, release everything, let go, let go, let go, trusting, letting go, trusting the ground to hold, trusting the ground to support, letting go, letting go, letting go in the body, letting go in the breath, letting go in the mind, just keeping that momentum, feeling the momentum, staying in the momentum of letting go, letting go, letting go, allowing, letting go, allowing, letting go. We begin to make contact with the sense of calm that is arising in the body, the pleasantness that is arising in the body. Keep letting go, keep letting go. Keep letting go. Trusting. And perhaps already the inner sensations are arising, pointing to the clarity of the mind, pointing to the clarity and radiance of consciousness. Beginning to taste them through the very sensations that we are having, tactile sensations, perhaps visual, inner visions, perhaps even inner sounds. Whatever it is that is arising, allow it, trusting that it is indeed a sign that we are going deeper, accessing more subtle, more powerful levels of our own consciousness. And it could be something as physical as the heart beating that you're starting to experience. You're starting to feel perhaps the blood flowing through. That's a sign. That's a sign of the subtlety of the consciousness that you are accessing, that you're abiding in. It doesn't have to be anything other than what you're experiencing now. Trusting, letting go. And as we abide in this Let us stabilize with 3 full breaths, the same as the first full breath. In through the nose as fully and as gently as you can. Breathe in. And through the mouth again, just let go. Waiting for the breath to come back on its own without forcing it to come back. When it naturally comes back, stay where the out breath took you. As you stay there, another full breath in through the nose. And through the mouth again, just let go. Let your mind go, let your breath go, let the body go. Let go. Allowing the calm to become calmer, the pleasantness to become more pleasant, the clarity to become clearer, the radiance to become brighter. And again, for the 3rd time, another full breath in through the nose and out the mouth. Stay connected to that silence that you're touching, that you're tasting. Within that space, rejoice, witnessing yourself abiding in it. And think of the condition that we are in, that we are all sharing together. Think of us, those of us, ourselves and others. Any difficulties that we may be enduring, that we may find difficult. And yearn for that part of us that is able to endure, yearn for that part of us collectively that is capable of being able to move through this, overcome these many difficulties. And as though looking through a window between the eyebrows, begin to see a bright presence, radiant. It feels loving, compassionate, all-embracing. There's a confidence within it that it radiates. A confidence that there's nothing that we cannot overcome. No matter how impossible it may appear. The light radiating from it is intense and yet soothing. The kind of embrace, ideally or in memory, that we felt is possible. That we have maybe experienced through the love of someone else, through the compassion of someone else. And let the yearning for strength to overcome the situation that we are in, make it very, very strong. And let the yearning be for yourself and for those you love and for just anyone who's having to experience these difficulties. And your compassion in its purity is taking form in front of us as that pure, bright presence. See the luminous emerald green light, perhaps, radiating from it, crystal clear, so beautiful to behold, so wonderful to be in its presence. And our compassion is invoking an action from it. Our concern for ourselves, our concern for our others. And begin to feel and begin to hear a vibration coming from that center, from the center of that presence. And the vibration is luminous. And you can hear it. And from that presence, the sound and the light radiating, infusing every cell in our bodies, every corner of our minds, every part of our being, vibrating the sound of Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Sureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, 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 Om Tare Tutare Tureso. Hear it. Resonating, vibrating in every cell, in every atom, in the air around you, filling everything with that conviction that comes, that sense of, don't worry. You have it within you to endure this and even worse than this. Connecting us to our power, our individual power, our collective power, our power that is beyond the two. Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso. I just dwell in the joy of that conviction. Om Tare Tutare, just that joy itself, we move. Just replace the over concern. Let it replace with the joy of that conviction. Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso. And see all your loved ones being bathed by this light, by this vibration, by the sound. And they too are overcoming. They too are being strengthened physically, emotionally, mentally, radiating. Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso, Om Tare Tutare Tureso. And just look around, seeing everyone filled with this beautiful light that gives them confidence, that connects them to their inner resources. Yes, this too will pass. This too will be overcome. If you allow yourself, you may feel the reverberating of the mantra in your cells. Okay, we will leave the visualization just as it is while we do the talk, and we will come back to it to finish the do the concluding meditation. Okay, get ready to come out. Bring attention to just the space of the meditation, the calm, the pleasantness. And take a nice deep breath. And with that breath, let yourself be reconnected to your immediate surroundings through your sense of touch, sense of hearing, and sense of sight. Okay. There are those who, when they hear a mantra recitation, yay, mantra recitation. And there are those who say, oh my goodness, not another mantra recitation. Well, what can I say? To each his own. All right. Expectations, blessings, and confidence. All right, let's tackle this thing together, shall we? I'll begin at the beginning. No, the beginning that's really no beginning, but just for the sake of speaking of beginning, just for the sake of starting somewhere, we say we'll begin at the beginning. And the beginning of what? The beginning of this very impulse that we have, I would say this very audacity that we have, that somehow, whatever difficulties that we are going through, we feel that, maybe I can overcome this. Maybe there's something I can do to actually get myself out of this. And it's, when it first comes up, there's a bit of audacity to it. There's a bit of confidence that yes, it can be done. And we start to look around to see, okay, where am I going to find the means of actually overcoming this difficulty, this suffering that I'm going through? And the reason that we are looking is because there's this confidence that tells us, yeah, look for it. You'll find a way of overcoming this. You'll find a way to get rid of this. And in looking, there's a sense of we are alleviated somewhat, because within the experience of, I can overcome this, confidently we start looking for means to overcome this. At that very moment, we are distracted. At that very moment, we are distracted from the fact that, hey, we are in this problem, we are having this experience in the first place. And this gives a sense of relief. But it's also a very good, very important experience to have, that sense of relief, that momentary it may be, but still we are having a direct experience that, the suffering is not permanent. It's not something that is going to continue forever. In its nature, there is a sense about it that I can actually experience myself not experiencing it. And we should go back every once in a while to remember that experience, to remember that experience, that moment of relief that we have, because we need that as ammunition, because the feeling will come back again, the feeling of being overwhelmed. And what will accompany that feeling of being overwhelmed is this conviction that it will last forever, it will not change. And we need to undermine that conviction. We need to counter it with the memory that we had when we had that momentary experience of it being gone. And that's a way for us not to fall, because with that conviction, this will not go away. What it does is it compounds the situation and drives us into possible depression, where we actually allow the sense of being overwhelmed to stay longer than it's supposed to. Okay, so go back, not as a distraction, not as a way to not as a way to not deal with the situation, but rather to undermine, to undo the damage of the sense that this will last forever. This is something that I cannot overcome. Okay, that's why we go back to that momentary conviction that we had at that moment, that sense of relief that we had when we were distracted for a moment and we were looking. We had the conviction that there is a possible means of overcoming this. And the reason that we felt that confidence that there's a possible means of overcoming this is because there's this innate wisdom within us that sort of give us perhaps a quick glimpse, perhaps even too fast. It may not have stayed long enough for us to actually be able to appreciate much, but it gave us a quick glance of the possibility of the absence of this condition. And it was because of this glimpse of the possibility of the absence of this condition that we had the sense of relief, a sense of, I don't have to worry about the appearance of this thing appearing to be immovable. It can be moved. So there's that wisdom, there's that innate wisdom. And when that innate wisdom comes, it actually gives us a measure of clarity as to the possible path that we can take. And that's what we were following. We were following this insight as to the possible path that we may take. And there is this conviction of going in that direction, because at the end of the path or along the path, we may find the solution that we're seeking that will help us overcome this condition. And it is this instinct that we have to continue to trust. And of course, along the way, not when we are witnessing ourselves not encountering the solution, that gives us the possibility again of going into being overwhelmed, the possibility again of being being discouraged and going into depression. And it's something that we have to go back and forth with. When the thing is, whenever you notice yourself, whenever you feel a sense of, there's nothing I can do, it's overwhelming. One of the things to do is to remember the sense of relief. It is possible. I had a glimpse of it. Okay. And we will have insight as to, okay, try this, try that. And perhaps, unfortunately, this is where the discouragement may come in. We try this, but in trying it, we may not be trying it as fully or with as much clarity as we should. And by that, I mean, we didn't allow ourselves the time to fully unpack the possible solution that was presented to us. And it could be because of the desperation to get out of the situation so fastly, that as soon as we saw the light of the possibility of coming out of the situation, we just jump in that direction without allowing ourselves to fully understand, to fully see how to actually get there. And in jumping in that direction, we may miss the target. And in missing the target, that's where the self-talk that encourages discouragement may come back and say, see, you were just fooled. There's no solution in that direction. See, you're not there. And when we are looking at that, and the direct looking at, oh yeah, I'm not in the solution yet, that will encourage discouragement. And here is a clue. Here is a very powerful clue. What the mind believes itself directly perceiving creates or affirms reality. And that is something that works not only against us, but also can work in our favor. So in the same way, it's because we think we are directly perceiving hopelessness. That's why we believe, we are convinced that there is hopelessness. And because of this conviction, we fall into discouragement because of, it seems like we're directly perceiving reality because of this direct experience. So that tells us, if we can make ourselves directly perceive the opposite, in the same way, automatically, discouragement was being nourished. In the same way, we will automatically develop and nourish encouragement. Okay, so directly perceiving is key. And the wonderful news about reality is that what we directly perceive is not necessarily what is being presented to us. It seems that way. It seems that what is being presented, what we are directly experiencing, is something that is being presented to us. And that's why we say, oh yes, I'm seeing reality, because it is being presented to me, okay? Direct experience, it doesn't necessarily come from something being presented to you. Something being presented to us is an appearance, okay? That's an appearance. And I'll give you an example. You probably have encountered someone who was caught up in something in their mind that they thought was directly there. Perhaps somebody tripping. Never mind that. Not necessarily tripping, okay? But someone who was caught up with anger, someone was caught up with attachment, someone was caught up with something, right? And then because of that, they have the experience that they are something is directly being presented to them. And because there is this experience, something directly being presented to them, automatically they have the reaction towards that. If this thing is harming me, if the experience of the appearance is this is something harming me, then they pull up their defense, they put up their offense, and they will attack, right? Or they will defend themselves. Because the appearance, the direct experience was that, okay? And you, when you're with that person and you are in your right mind, you will not, were in your right mind, meaning that you are not overwhelmed by an emotion. You are calmer than this person, right? And you can see, wait a minute, you can sort of understand that, oh, wait a minute, what you're seeing, what you think you're seeing is not what is here, it's not what is there, okay? Or perhaps the person is accusing you of something, right? No, what you think you heard me say, that's not what I said. What you think you're seeing is not what is present. And somehow, perhaps if you can help, if you can find some skillful ways, some skillful means to help person see, or perhaps maybe you're the one who's deluded. Perhaps there is a situation there for you to freak out, and you're not freaking out because your direct perception of it is not something for you to freak out about. And perhaps the person needs to wake you up so that, hey, there is something to freak out about. And when you have the experience, now I'm directing something harmful, now you will freak out, which is the normal reaction, okay? So this example is to tell you that it doesn't necessarily have to be something presented to you by the world in order for you to have an experience, so I'm directly experiencing, and for the automatic reaction to take place, the automatic reaction of whether it's what you're doing is helpful for yourself or what you're doing is harming to yourself, okay? So direct experience, or the sense of directly experiencing, is flexible. And it is to the point where, and this is something that we in certain situations where we force ourselves, right? When you are having an experience where something suddenly comes to you that may be what you might call the I can't believe it experience. I can't believe I'm seeing this experience, right? But even though it's appearing to you, there's a part of you that is looking for another experience to directly experience, so it can contradict it, right? We have this, so this is something that our innate wisdom already understands. And this could happen, for example, if you're in a very frightening situation and we close our eyes in order for the experience of I'm directly experiencing something that is harming me, the automatic reaction that it can be appeased, right? That's why we close our eyes, we close our ears. You know, you take some people to the movies and there's a scary scene and the person closes their eyes. Why? Because they know if they directly see it, they will have an experience, or I'm directly seeing something, I must react to this, okay? So that's instinct. That's our innate wisdom telling us that direct perception is flexible, okay? Even if it's directly in front of you, you don't necessarily have to make yourself go through the experience, I'm directly experiencing that. And that's where Tantra makes use of this, where in Tantra, you create your reality. You make yourself directly, you make yourself directly perceive something else that creates a different inner experience from you, another automatic experience for you that is to your benefit, that is to your evolvement, that is to your ultimate, that is to your awakening, okay? So have this in mind, right? You're directly seeing something and you're becoming overwhelmed. So understand the mechanism that is going on there. Make yourself see directly something else, okay? So just with your intention, direct your wish to see, perhaps instead of seeing the problem as a problem, only a problem for you to overwhelm you, perhaps you can direct yourself to have, let me see the solution. Let me see the solution, okay? Even if it's just wishy, just a wishing you have in your mind, let me see the solution. At that moment when you're thinking, let me see the solution, you're distracting yourself from directly seeing problem, so you better run away. Okay, at least you're doing that much. Okay, and over time, there are those what seems to be accidents, where we actually follow this instinct, follow this what's the word I said? This audacity within us. Go in that direction. You'll be able to get rid of your suffering. You'll be able to get rid of the condition that that's overwhelming you, and you follow it. And somehow there was some measure of clarity. You followed it, and you actually saw yourself at the place of, you actually arrived at resolution. Yay! Resolution. I've achieved it, and that gives you a bit of confidence that, oh, I can solve problems. When problems come, when suffering comes, I can actually overcome them. And that's what gives us, that's where confidence comes from, okay? It's come from the same mechanism that creates discouragement. When you, and this is something, and I think I've said this before, this is something where my dear sister, I think is an expert at this, right? Where she does something wrong, everybody says, this is wrong, this is wrong. So she doesn't directly see it as something wrong, even though everybody's telling her this is something wrong. And when she decides to look at it, she looks at it as not as something that to overwhelm her, but as a means to learn something. And I don't know how she automatically does this kind of thing, but it's a wonderful thing. She doesn't become overwhelmed. Well, most of the time. Sometimes she gets overwhelmed too. But the thing is that she's not allowing herself to directly see something where she can instead exercise and nourish self-blame, self-criticism, the kinds of thing that only brings us down, the kind of thing that only makes us feel overwhelmed. Okay, so this same mechanism, that's what we have. The same mechanism that makes us feel overwhelmed, the same mechanism that makes us feel that I can't do this, is the same mechanism that we have to use to say, I can do this. This is possible. And how do we do this? Directly, when those moments of triumph happen, even if they last for a second, spend time looking at it. Spend time directly looking at it, reminding yourself, I did it. I did it. I overcame. I did it. I was able to overcome that suffering. I was able to alleviate that suffering, okay? And that's where the confidence will build up. And that's how confidence builds up. It's constantly making yourself perceive those moments when you actually overcome difficulties. Okay, that's the mechanism. It's the same thing. Now, through working through this, where we are basically exercising our compassion, we are exercising our wisdom, that when we perceive suffering, whether it is our own, whether it is another, and then we feel a wish to do something about it, that's exercising compassion. And directing this wish to do something towards, okay, what can be done, and allowing your mind to be open, that there's a means of actually being, to overcome this. And this is, very quickly, here you have to exercise a bit of patience, okay? You will, the tendency to immediately find a solution, that's a distraction. This wish that the solution be available as soon as we are looking for it can become a distraction. And this is something that is, so we say, wears down on our capacity to be patient, our capacity to endure, our capacity to bear certain things. Because sometimes what you need to do is to bear certain things. And bearing doesn't mean that to just take it and just accept it, but rather understand in the back of your mind that this will pass. And I'm going to be at the other end of this when it passes. Okay, this will not destroy me. I will come through this and I will be stronger at the end of this. Okay. So when we are exercising this wisdom, when we're exercising this inner knowing that there is a path, there is a means to overcome to the other side, we are strengthening our capacity. We are strengthening our conviction and confidence in being able to do this. Okay. At the same time, the wisdom that we are gaining, grounding ourselves in, the wisdom that we are grounding ourselves in is the wisdom of impermanence. And this is something that we have to remind ourselves every once in a while, whenever we're experiencing suffering and it has the air about it. Okay, finally you found something that will last forever. You found the thing that is constant, that is truly permanent, that is everlasting. Okay, you found the problem that no one else has been able to find. Congratulations, you found the permanent problem. And it will have that air around it. If we have that kind of a feel to it. So when you find yourself in that, and then depression and all these kinds of things are naturally coming up. Of course, if you're directly perceiving the problem that is impossible to solve, of course you have to be depressed. Of course you have to be discouraged. Of course, that should be the natural response to it. But you have to remind yourself of the wisdom that you've been collecting so far, that everything can be overcome. Nothing is permanent. Everything is impermanent. And after some time, it becomes, it will lose power. It will lose power for you to constantly say, oh, nothing is permanent, nothing is permanent, things are impermanent. After a while, that will lose power. After a while, why will it lose power? Because you're not saying it with direct perception. You're just saying it in your mind, just as a way of, I don't know, running away from something that you're seeing directly in front of you. You have to say it with a sense, with the sense of directly perceiving it. Yes, definitely things are impermanent. Remember that thing that seemed and now it's gone. Remind yourself of these actual experiences. Don't let it be theory. Don't let it be some vague notion in your mind. Let it be a memory of a distinct, real experience. And that's what will make it, whenever you say it's impermanent, it will not be something that loses power over time, but actually gains strength over time. When you say it's impermanent, it's a powerful thing for you to say, rather than just, I don't know, some pacifier that you're giving yourself because you don't know how to deal with your situation at the moment, okay? And that wisdom will strengthen the confidence that you need to ground you in the possibility that, yes, you can overcome suffering. Yes. And now we go into, we're going to go into something about now, yeah, that's my own suffering, that's my own condition. How about the conditions of others? What about the suffering of others? And that's something that's where compassion, we are compelled, we feel moved to alleviate someone else's suffering. And we will also want to see, look, I acted, I did something, someone else's suffering is now removed. The mechanism in that is the same. Don't think that you're arriving at wisdom when you think, oh, I can only do it for myself. I cannot do it for others. It seems like wisdom, but it's not, okay? It seems like you're understanding, oh, this thing that people keep throwing around, self-existent, non-self-existent. You think you're understanding it. Oh, I can only affect my own reality. I cannot affect the reality of others. Without knowing it, what you're doing is you're making your reality self-existent. You're making the reality of others self-existent. As though those two things are somehow self-existently separate from each other. I can only affect my reality. You can only affect your reality. Okay. Now, there is somewhat of a wisdom in that, in the sense that more in the sense of I can freely give myself the freedom to affect my reality. The freedom that is necessary for me to affect the reality of someone else requires their freedom also. In other words, it requires participation. In the same way, I can change my reality when I directly perceive and I arrive at the conviction, yes, I can change my reality, and I dwell in that conviction and I change my reality. On the other side, there must be that also. And there must also be a shared connection in that conviction that you can affect my reality and I can affect your reality. And this is something that happens, okay? Because in the same way, or should I say, the very nature of things that makes it possible for you to affect what seems to be your reality is the same nature that we all share, where you can see yourself changing someone else's reality. It's the same nature. It's the same nature of things don't exist self-existently, okay? It is because things don't exist self-existently, that's why I can see myself change my reality. That's why I can see myself change someone else's reality. That's why someone else can see me change their reality. And that's why someone else can see themselves change my reality. It's that same nature, okay? Because we are interlinked. We are inter-existing. Our existence is interlinked, okay? The freedom here is we must allow it. We must allow it, okay? And it's within that, just like I own this, this is my reality, I own this, and you can agree with me, oh yes, you own that, yes, you own that. In the same way, this thing which is not self-existent, and me, which is not self-existent, I can do a non-self-existent act saying, oh, now this is yours. And now you take it, and now you have it in your mind, this is mine, okay? So don't think that this is the only thing that we can make that, we can have this experience of reality with, where we exchange ownership of it, okay? Whatever, this is something that exists, and whatever exists, you can do the same thing as you did with this. But it has to be a participation. It doesn't seem like it's participation if I give this to you. It seems like something that is being dumped on you, okay? Where you can say, oh, I don't want it, I don't want it, you keep it, you keep it, you keep it, but you keep seeing it being given to you. Where you have the conviction, well, if I say I'll take it, then it will be mine. And there's that conviction, okay? And this is how, it's this kind of reality, it's this kind of nature of things that makes it possible for you to be able to help someone, okay? And we can think of examples. So unfortunately, the only example I can think of is example where somebody is convinced they cannot be helped, right? And here you are trying to help them because of their conviction that they cannot be helped. No matter what you do, they cannot receive it because they're not on their side. They don't want to participate. Okay, you give them you give them whatever it is that they need water. You give them water, but they don't want to participate. They're not going to drink the water. It's that expression. You can not to make it like a person, that kind of thing, but you know, okay, let me say it this way. You can take a sentient being to water, but you can't make the sentient being drink the water. Okay? Just because you bring the water to the sentient being doesn't mean that the sentient being's thirst is automatically quenched. The sentient being has to participate. Okay? Now that means you've done your part as far as you're concerned. Okay, when you're trying to take the suffering of someone, it begins with your wish, it begins with your compassion, and you may connect because of the connection that you have with it. You listen to your wisdom, and your wisdom tell you, try this, try that, and you actually listen, and you try this, and you try that. Now it's up to them to participate and allow it. That you cannot force on them. That's where the freedom comes in, okay? The freedom, which is part of our nature. By freedom, which is part of our nature, it is this freedom that allows us to one day be able to say, okay, I don't want this anymore, and convincingly say, I don't want to be this, to experience this anymore, and you come out of it, and whatever that it may be for you, okay? I don't want to be in this neighborhood anymore, you come out of it. I don't want to be in this, this job anymore, you come out of it, okay? Or I don't want to be in this samsaric existence anymore, and you come out of it. But it has to be your decision. It's your freedom to make that decision. And it's that same freedom that makes us here, that keeps us here. It's that freedom of being convinced that I am limited. I don't know, convinced that our misunderstanding of reality is the truth, is what we should be understanding. So holding on to these things, thinking that certain intentions which are harming us, thinking of them as benefiting us, as long as we consider them to be benefiting us, we will continue to engage in them, okay, until we see, no, these are not benefiting me. The very thing that I'm trying to accomplish by engaging in them, it's not giving to me, okay? Until we have that conviction, until we see that it's not giving me the benefit that it's promising me, that I'm wanting from it, we will continue to engage in it, wanting for it to give us something that it cannot, okay? If we want to continue to, thank you very much for that word, but unfortunately I'm gonna keep going back to it. The trauma of lying to ourselves is gonna continue, the suffering that comes from the trauma of not being enlightened will continue to haunt us. Yes, not being enlightened is a traumatic way to exist, because we have to constantly lie to ourselves every second, every moment. We have to constantly lie to ourselves that we are self-existent, that we are disconnected. We have to constantly lie to ourselves, and that is completely the opposite of the truth. We're not self-existent, and we're not disconnected. No matter what the appearance may be, that is not the truth. That is not truth. And because we keep trying to feed ourselves this lie about our nature is suffering, we will continue to experience the trauma of samsaric existence. Okay. But we are free. We are free to continue to experience it. It doesn't matter who has compassion for you, no matter how much power they have, until you decide, until we decide, definitely, okay, this is not for me, we will not see ourselves out of this. So you will see someone suffering, you will see someone in pain, and they're crying, but until they directly perceive that what you're doing is helping them, you will not see yourself helping them. You will not see them being helped by what you're doing, okay? But the thing for you to do is don't allow that to be the determination of whether or not your actions are worthy of being undertaken or not. It's not whether or not you see the other person experiencing exactly what you want them to experience that should be the determination whether or not you should continue. I mean, there are many lessons to learn from this. Perhaps the path you took may not necessarily have been the path that will take them out. Okay, that means you're not skilled yet, but you're learning. You're getting yourself to be getting more and more skill. Don't react this way, react that way. That would be helpful. That will be the means of actually arriving at the place where we want to arrive. Let yourself be open to that. And the way to let yourself be open to that is to experiment. When compassion propels you to act, experiment. Allow compassion to guide you. Compassion asks you to yell, yell. Compassion asks you to don't yell, even though you're feeling that's what you would like to do, that's what you're habituated to do. Don't yell. Because it's not the yelling that you want, it's not the not yelling that you want, it's the outcome that you want. You want this pain, this situation to be alleviated, to be removed. Okay. And this leads to when we sincerely want, when we are as deep into the compassionate connection as possible. And we don't see it within ourselves, the means to do anything about our condition, about the condition of someone we love, but we desperately want to do something because we see the pain, our pain, we experience it. But for some reason, our bag of tricks just doesn't have what it needs, what is required to deal with the situation. And that's where we go into the topic of blessings. And I have to explain this to you. Blessings is the same nature as the nature of me saying, now this is yours. Okay? It's the same nature. If you don't want the blessing, no matter how much blessing is being shoved down your throats, it will not do anything to you. Okay? It's cooperation. So when you find yourself in that situation where it seems like, as far as your capacities are concerned, when you look at your capacity, when you look at your resources, you don't see anything that can be of help. You've tried it, you've exhausted what's within your, you've exhausted what's within your capacity, and you can't seem to help. And this is where, in that desperation, guided by that compassion, and there's a conviction within you that, A, you're not the only one in the universe who has this measure of compassion. Okay? There are others who have even more of this measure of compassion. Turn to them. In the same way that you are hoping for you yourself to be one day to be a resource, in the same way that you're hoping that one day you will be someone that that others can turn to, and you will have for them the means for them to alleviate their condition. In the same way, don't think that you're the only one in the universe who ever had this thought, and that you will be the only one. There are others who have had this thought already, and who have trained themselves, who have linked themselves, we tore down the blinders that makes them think that they are disconnected. They have tore that down, and they dwell in the truth of being connected, in the truth of freedom. And we can turn to them, turn to that power, and simply admit exactly what's in your heart, exactly what you want. There's a situation that I've encountered. I've exhausted my capacity to help, and I can't seem to do anything. Whatever you can do, please give your blessings. Strangely enough, I have to, well, not strangely enough, I would say obviously enough, most of the time that's what I find myself doing. Okay. And sometimes I'm surprised when I see the hope, the light of having a solution coming, the possibility of a solution. And I think it's, because of the demon of the lack of faith, the lack of conviction that is the habit of constantly directly looking at the times when we failed, that habit comes up because it's a habit, it comes up. And then immediately we tell ourselves, oh, that was just a coincidence. That wasn't because of your compassion. That wasn't because of your plea that this seeming change took place. And then if we allow ourselves to buy that, at first, the first thing to do is to say, oh, this is just a habit. The habit coming from constantly looking in the direction of my failures and making that reality. That's where this is coming from. It has nothing to do with reality in itself. That's the first thing, to acknowledge it. That's where it's coming from. And do not allow ourselves to, even if it is a coincidence, okay? Even if it's just a coincidence, even if it's just a fluke, an accident. But look at it. Compassion, I surrendered, I asked, and now I saw. I cannot deny that I saw a change took place. Even if that demon in your head is trying to say that's not what happened, but keep looking at it in that direction, okay? So that the demon cannot what's that word? Trick you, cannot misrepresent, somebody misrepresenting something, trick you. The devil is supposed to be a king of that. Deceiver, deception. Oh, thank you very much. We came to that together. Yeah. Don't let that demon deceive you, because there you are, you're perceiving it, okay? And remember the power of directly perceiving something, okay? When you directly perceive something, it's something that cannot be denied. And I beg you to exercise that. I'm not talking about exercise it in a sense of, all right, let me try it out. Let me see, okay, I want $1 trillion right now. Oh, please help me get $1 trillion. Nothing is happening. See, I guess it doesn't work. You yourself don't believe that. So why are you fooling yourself? It has to be something that you're fully into compassion, you're fully into exhausting your resources, and you're fully convinced that there are resources outside of you that you can tap into, the resources of universal compassion, okay? And it has to be an outcome that you believe is possible, okay? An outcome that you believe is possible. And of course, that will change, that will evolve. What you believe is possible will evolve. Perhaps you believe that only, you can only get, I don't know, slice of bread. Okay, that's all you can work with, getting a slice of bread. So okay, work at it, make a slice of bread appear. Okay, and then with that, you can say, oh, a loaf of bread. Okay, and then you can work it up. And then one day when you truly believe, and when you truly believe the possibility of having $1 trillion, I don't know if that is of any meaning to you, then you can do it that way, okay? But don't fool yourself. Don't try to damage yourself from the very beginning, okay? And what is blessing? What is the nature of blessing? It is just like this. I give it to you because of the nature of things, okay? Now, a connection has to be made, right? And the connection is, I know you, you know me, I see you, you see me. That's a connection. That's a connection, okay? And then now I make an exchange. And then we have to participate. I want to give, you want to receive, okay? And then exchange is made. So the blessing follows the same thing. It doesn't have its own rules. It doesn't have its own reality. It's the same reality that all this is shared with, okay? And the term that is found in the Tibetan, that is found from the original Sanskrit, we just use the word blessing. Actually, I don't even know. I should have done some research on that. The English term itself, blessing, what does it mean anyway? What does it mean? And does it really translate into the Buddhist terminology of blessing? I think that's where the confusion comes in. Okay? It seems like a blessing in the sense of making an impossible, something that is against the laws of nature happen. A blessing doesn't go against the laws of nature. A blessing actually uses the laws of nature. Okay? So an example would be, I try hard. I'm doing my retreat, and a month passed by, a second month passed by, it's a third month, and I'm doing my retreat, and I have absolutely no experiences whatsoever that I can consider to be worthy of having spent all this time doing. And you keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And a part of you says, okay, I'm going to stop trying. I'm just going to allow. I'm going to connect my mind, connect my consciousness to a thought where in that thought, there is a conviction that what I'm seeking is possible. I'm not even gonna think that it's possible that somehow it can it can be transferred to me, but I'm just gonna hold that thought, connect my consciousness to that thought, where that thought is holding the possibility. Yes, it's possible. What I'm aspiring to is possible. And you hold on to that for a while, maybe a second or two, and you let everything go. And all of a sudden, without knowing it, you find yourself having a meaningful experience. And there you are, you're actually directly perceiving yourself having that experience. And as far as you know, you can't remember, what did I do that created this experience? As far as you know, you didn't do anything, because it seems to have happened after you gave up on doing anything, right? And there was this experience that you can't deny because you're directly perceiving it. So these experiences that happen, they're also given the name, oh, that was a blessing. That was a blessing. Okay? And the only thing that I can consider is a blessing is, because in the Tibetan word is, there's a sense of empowering, and also a sense of a wave, a sense of a stream, okay, a stream that is coming to you that is empowering you, right? That in the word that Tibetan has for the word for that is translated as blessing, there's that kind of sense in it, and it is because at a certain moment where we let go, completely let go of this conviction of it can't be, let me make it happen, let me force it to happen, we completely let that go, we allow for an opening. And in that opening, there's an alignment that is created. And we align ourselves with the possibility, and a wave descends from that place, whatever that place may be, interdimensionally, intertimely, interspatially, whatever li, okay? The wave, and it's not a real wave, you know, wave, okay? Take it out of your mind, okay? We're just using that word as a relative way to express something, right? A wave come through that alignment. Then we are connected to that reality and we experience that reality directly. And that's what is referred to as a blessing, okay? So for blessing to take place, we have to open ourselves, we have to make a connection, and then we can receive a blessing. And it doesn't have to be at the moment when we are asking for it, we get it. Most of the time it happens when when we are completely forgot about it. Because at that moment, that's when the opening takes place, when we're not consciously involved, consciously trying to make it happen. Okay. So to wrap all this up, oh yeah, expectations. Ooh, that was supposed to be the topic. That was supposed to be the title of this topic. My goodness, we didn't even talk about expectations. Very briefly, because we are running out of time. We have 4 minutes, okay. Expectations. Biologically, it's an advanced part of our evolution. It's an outcome of evolving to be able to have expectations, okay? Somehow, this innate wisdom sees beyond the present moment, okay? And dives into the realm of possibility. And in seeing the realm of possibility, then there's that expectation, okay? Okay, so that you could say is a outcome of our evolution, to be able to have expectations. When I go outside, when the clouds look like this, I expect rain. It's not happening now, but somehow I'm able to look into the field of possibility and see rain, okay? But unfortunately for us, like everything that evolution gives us, it can also become a curse, okay? Instead of seeing it as a possibility, we are making a demand for it to be, okay? That's when expectations becomes a curse, okay? It's supposed to be like that, and why is it not being like that? That's what it should be. That's when expectations now is something that we should let go of. When there is attachment, when there is aversion to the possibility of what could it be, then that's the what you might call the wrong expectation. That's the expectation that is a destroyer of joy. But when we see it simply as a view into a realm of possibility, and that's all possibilities, not things that are that should be or should not be, but just a possibility, then expectation become then a creator of joy, okay? Like, I see the possibility of overcoming my suffering, right? And I'm open to the possibilities of how that will play out. But if I have an expectation, it should be this way, it should be that way, it should be this way and that way, then we are just setting ourselves up to destroy the very joy that expectation is trying to connect us to. So the answer to the question, of course, is the big, it depends. Okay. It's not a cop-out answer, all right? It's not a cop-out answer. Expectation is something wonderful to be able to have. But don't let it rule you, okay? Don't let it be kidnapped by attachment. Don't let it be kidnapped by aversion, okay? And then when you have it, let it be open. Okay, there are many different ways that it can happen, okay? And some of these means, it's not that necessarily the specific means that we are wanting is impossible. The thing is, have you collected within yourself the necessary conditions and causes to make that specific way possible, to make it a reality? If you want it exactly this way, you better collect the causes and conditions that are specific to this way. Then you can have it, okay? But don't expect it to be exactly this way without collecting the necessary conditions to make that happen. And be patient with yourself. Be patient with the universe. Be patient with time. Okay. All right. Look at that. I guess we can open for questions because we have a little bit of time before we do the closing meditation.
I had one question. I think the internet may have froze a little bit when you were describing receiving a blessing.
Oh, really?
And I was just curious, just to, because it seems rather important. You said it arrives like I don't know the Tibetan term for it, but it's sort of like a wave that you're open to.
Yes.
And yeah, I guess just what is that process of like being open to receive a blessing or to be part of that wave of a blessing?
Yeah. So there has to be a very strong emotional connection. Okay. By strong emotional connection is the best emotion I can think of is there must be an actual emotion of desperation. Okay, I'm feeling desperate. So that's the beginning of it. That real emotion reality. Okay, and there must be a looking into your own resources. Not looking in one corner and say I can't do this, but a sincere sense of looking in all your resources, whatever that may be. Okay, and I'm not seeing within your resources the means to deal with whatever it is that you're trying to deal with. And in that desperation of needing to come out of it, okay, then because you have a sense of, I saw my resources, so I don't have to look in my resources anymore. No, I can look elsewhere. And in looking elsewhere, it's like you're connecting yourself to the place where you have some measure of conviction that the resources that you're looking to tap into exist. And it sounds like faith. Sorry, all right. And you know, I'm against that word too, but it sounds like it, but let it sound like it, okay? And it doesn't have to be religious faith or spiritual faith. It could be a materialist scientist looking for a cure for something. There's a part of that scientist that believes the cure exists. And that's what that materialistic scientist keeps working. Otherwise, it would stop working. Because there is a conviction, the reality that this medicine exists. That's why it keeps going in that direction, okay? And when you look at your own resources and you can't see it, and because you believe in that reality where that solution exists, then you just think about that. And that's aligning yourself. And if it is in a archetype, okay? Archetype could be, that is if you have the conviction that your guru, your lama is a connection to that some being that you have a conviction in is a connection to that. Then you just think of that person, of that being possessing the reality of that. That's it. And it is sufficient to just believe that. But you can take an extra step where you actually see yourself making a request. Okay? And it is because of these conditions that are present, not just making the request, but all these conditions are present. Then it comes to you like a wave. Okay? And coming to you like a wave, and And that's where the relativity of time comes in. Okay, it could be like that, or it could take some 3 months. Okay. All right. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So it's not just a religious kind of thing or theistic kind of thing, seeking blessings. It is an instinctive thing that we have as beings. Okay. It is some unknown why, I don't know why, conviction tells me the reality that I seek exists. And by doing that, because of interconnectivity, into whatever you want to call it, you connect yourself with that reality. And because you're willing, you're open to receive it, then you can experience that reality. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
So sorry. Were you finished?
No, yes, I'm finished, yeah.
What's the connection or the balance between like a sense of asking for a specific blessing and being open to receiving it,
Mm-hmm.
and this kind of other journey that happens along the path where it's like becoming aware that more and more moments just are blessings, that it exists, that I'm drinking water in this moment is a blessing, or like becoming aware of the constant kind of showering of miracles or blessings, and then this also like directed specific desire for a blessing or something. This, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's what you're referring to is something that at the level of conviction, okay? You can, through familiarizing yourself with I would say moments of blessing, familiarizing yourself with things like this, and then you arrive at the conclusion that you're referring to. Every moment is a blessing. Okay? Existence itself is a blessing, but not a blessing in a sense of you should be grateful that you are given existence. Not that kind of existence is a blessing. Okay? But whatever that we experience exists in whatever form that it exists. I mean, it's connected to a matrix. Oh, I said matrix. It's connected to a matrix of magic. Okay, because it's magical in the sense of the way magic happens, where there is this beautiful appearance, but it's a beautiful appearance, but we are able to experience it. But it's magical because there's nothing about the appearance that explains its existence. Here I am, a suffering being. I'm experiencing myself as a suffering being. And different things I come in contact with give me experience of suffering. And it exists. I'm experiencing it. And yet, there's nothing in any of these things that I'm experiencing as suffering is really suffering. That's magic. Okay, that's magic. And if we align ourselves with the very mechanism that makes this possible, that makes anything that is possible possible, then you can exist in such a way where, you're constantly seeing, wow, All this is blessing. A glass of water is blessing. What's in oxygen and hydrogen that makes them become water? And yet there they are, water. You see, if you take oxygen out, can you see water in it? When you take hydrogen out, can you see water in it? And yet there they are, they produce water. That's a blessing. That's magic. And when you look at the thing that's in oxygen, atoms and subatomic particles, where's the oxygen in that? And the same thing with hydrogen. And yet there it is. It's making itself appear like hydrogen and it functions like hydrogen. It blows up. Oxygen will keep you alive. But when you look at it, when you go into it, there's nothing in the appearance that tells you how that it exists that way. This is magic. So when you are, and I think, unfortunately, some people, to feel alive, they do things that hurt them. But not, I'm gonna hurt myself so I can be alive, but rather I want to sense. I want to sense, and just because they're sensing, that gives them a sense of I'm alive. Okay. So in alignment with that, not to make anybody become masochistic. Whatever you're experiencing that tells you you exist, you should rejoice. Not that you're experiencing whatever it is you're experiencing, but the fact that you're experiencing. Okay? And directing your mind towards that joy will give you the clarity that you need to overcome the experience and experience something else. Okay. Well, that was a long answer to your question. Sorry. I'm not even sure if I answered it. Did I answer it? Nizam?
You did, and you made me wonder if like focusing on these things, like water as a blessing, is a good practice.
Oh yeah.
Up to other blessings too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Blessings that we can see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. By doing that, then we open our eyes to constant possibilities. So we're never caught up in a situation feeling incapable of overcoming.
Right. Is there like like small blessings and big blessings, or is if one blessing is just as incredible as any other blessing?
Yeah, one blessing is as incredible as any other. Small blessing and big blessing is just relative, right? That was a big blessing. Oh, that was a small blessing. Oh, I had that experience. That was a big blessing. Ah, that was a small blessing. Okay. And the thing is, it was a blessing. And I think it's best, as you're pointing, to just see it as blessing rather than say a small one or a big one. Then attachment will sneak in, aversion will sneak in and ruin the entire experience. Okay.
Phuntsok, hi, it's Leah. Wait, let me see if you can see me. I'm in the dark. Anyway, quickly, my computer also froze at a point where I was like, wait, it's landing. I get it. And I just want to recap and make sure I'm hearing you. I'm getting the message you're trying to deliver, which is that the default could have been to think that a blessing was against nature, that like somehow a blessing was like magic in that way. But a blessing, you were saying, really aligns with nature. And I want to make sure this is the part. And the way that it aligns with nature is because we believe it. We have a deep knowing that it's possible.
I would say deep knowing, not
Okay.
just believe it, but a deep knowing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you exercise the part of you to have a deep knowing that's possible? Is it mantra work, or like where do you go to sort of stretch that muscle or keep that feeling alive, that whatever it is you desire as a blessing is possible.
Okay. The way to exercise it is to exhaustion.
Great. Okay.
Whatever it is that you believe should work, you exhaust it until it can't work. Then you align yourself. Then you start to see trickling of it. Trickling of it meaning that the part of you that feels disconnected to it starts to go away. Okay. Cassandra, sorry, did we answer your question?
No.
No? What is blessing? It is the experience that you have when you align yourself with deepest truth, or the deepest part of you, the deepest knowing. After exhausting what you consider to, what on the surface you consider to be possible. This is more of a definition in terms of the function of it. The way it is classically defined requires a bunch of explanation. It doesn't really go to it directly. It's simply, this way. It is, so think of what I've just said. Through that process, we cause something within us that is hidden to be awakened. Okay, so when a lama blesses someone, that lama is somehow has been given the permission to awaken something within you that was hidden from you. Of course, when you look around and you see that I don't see any resources within me, it doesn't mean that you don't have the resources whatsoever, right? It's just that you can't see it. So the blessing, you could say, that's the closest to the, in a way of explaining the classic definition of blessing without having to read an entire volume to explain it, is you align yourself through deep knowing to some means of awakening something within you that was hidden from you. So the capacity to have the experience after 3 months of meditation was already within you, but it was blind to you. And because you open yourself, then you are able to receive it, for it to be awakened. I hope that explains it. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, so don't be ashamed to ask for blessings, okay? I know you spiritual people, I'm above asking for blessings. That's for little children.
And I'm sorry I'm speaking so much today.
Oh, you only talk a little bit.
That makes me feel like a blessing is contingent upon samsara or some ignorance. Because like, it wouldn't be, if we were enlightened, we wouldn't experience blessings because it would just be the true nature of reality and we would be in touch with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a revealing of something that is hidden because everything would be already revealed.
Mm-hmm.
There wouldn't be an awakening of potential because all potential would have been awakened already.
Mm.
So instead of waiting for blessings, you are blessing.
Mm.
All right.
And then a blessing is like a micro enlightenment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let's do the closing meditation. Thank you very much, everyone, for your energy, your participation, your presence, giving us the continuous sense of Sangha, which is very important because I don't know about you, but I probably would go crazy without you guys. Okay. All right. So take yourself back to that meditative posture. And by vividly recalling the experience of being in meditation, how it felt in the body, how it felt in the breath, how it felt in the mind, we are reconnecting with that experience. And we are re-experiencing it. We are tasting it again. So let yourself taste it. Let yourself re-experience it. Just with that vivid recalling of the experience. And remember that bright presence in front of us, the very embodiment of compassion, the compassionate concern that we have for ourselves and for everyone, that deep wish that we overcome, that they overcome, takes on an appearance of a being, of an entity. Remember the feel of the mantra reverberating within every cell in your body, every corner of your mind. And let go. And feel yourself being drawn into the heart of this presence, the luminous presence. And in a way that is incomprehensible, that is mysterious, the very nature of mystery itself, that pure presence now becomes all of us. So wherever you are now that pure presence. For those around you, for those you will come in contact with. And keep hearing the mantra resonating within you. See yourself now radiating that light of compassion and caring, the light of confidence, conviction. Om Dare Dutare Dure Soha. Dedicate tonight, meeting whatever gifts we have received, to whatever concerns you may have. Gyewa di Kyo Kun Sunam Yeshe Sogzo Shin Sunam Yeshe Lechung We Damba Kunyi Topar Sho. With joy, get ready to arise from the meditation. with that intention, take a nice deep breath, feel it, hear it in through the nose, out the mouth. And deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect with your sense of touch. Be aware of the temperature, be aware of the clothing on you, be aware of the different sounds, be aware of the different lights, colors, and shapes. Thank you.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.